The self-checkout asks if you want a receipt. A bag of dinner rolls, a sack of ice, $7.14. You say no, and stand there anyway while the machine thinks about it. Ice already sweating through the plastic at 8:30 in the morning. You've brought the same two things to this dinner for 16 years. The assignment got handed to you once, back when you were 22, and it was the only line on the list you could afford.
Nobody ever updates a family list. It just sets. Nobody in that house has ever called you rich. Not once, not as a joke. And in about 6 hours, you're going to sit down with 11 people, and you'll be, by a wide margin, the wealthiest person at that table. Not one of them will suspect it. Every family quietly ranks its members. It usually happens sometime in your 20s, based on your job, your car, how you handled the bill once at a restaurant. After that, it almost never updates. Yours got set back in 2010, and it reads, doing fine, careful with money, brings the rolls. That first year, you're 22, making $33,000 answering phones for an equipment inspection company. Your seat at dinner is the wobbly desk chair someone rolls in from the office because there are only 11 real chairs for 12 people. It sits 3 inches lower than the rest, right next to the kitchen doorway, which means you're the one who gets up when the gravy needs reheating. The rich one is your brother, Derek, 26, sells medical equipment to hospitals, clears about $110,000 that year. A number the whole family knows because Derek says numbers out loud. He pays for the cake. He grabs every restaurant check before anyone else can reach for a wallet. When a cousin's furnace dies in January, it's Derek. When someone needs a flight covered for a funeral, it's Derek. In most families, being rich isn't about the biggest number. It's about who reaches for the check fastest. You fail that test every single time, quietly, by staying seated. That same year, HR switches retirement providers. You fill out a form standing at your desk, a low-cost total market index fund, picked mostly because the other options had confusing names. 4 minutes, nobody watching. By year's end, the balance is $3,400. You put in most of it yourself. The market added about $30, roughly what Derek tips a valet. 2 years later, your car dies on a Tuesday, and the repair costs $310. You have $90. You call Derek. He wires the difference in under an hour and won't hear about paying it back. That's the last time you ever ask your family for money. Nobody tells you at the time that it's the last time. Around then, a cousin cashes out her $21,000 retirement account after a rough year. Penalties and taxes eat almost a third of it, and she pays off a strangling credit card with the rest, which honestly wasn't a bad call. Left untouched, that same $21,000 would be worth well over $120,000 today. She's never seen that number, and never will. Your brother buys a boat that gets used maybe 9 days a summer, financed over 12 years. Everyone rides it once every July, and it's one of the best days of the season. You're on that boat too, and you've never once thought it wasn't worth it to him. Your mother gets talked into an annuity at a free steakhouse dinner. Safe, she says. And it is, in the way a locked room is safe. Years later, it's worth a fraction of what a plain, boring index fund would have made her. You read the paperwork at her kitchen table and say almost none of what you're thinking. Then 2022 happens. The market drops hard. Your account falls by 3 years' worth of contributions in a matter of months. Right around a Tuesday, you spend quietly at your desk. You don't sell anything. Not out of bravery, just because you happen to have a boring cash cushion sitting in a savings account, earning almost nothing. And that cushion means you never have to touch your investments to cover an emergency. Nobody's ever called that discipline. You've never called it courage either. By 2024, Derek gets laid off, along with 200 coworkers, and doesn't tell the family for 4 months. Turns out underneath the boat and the leased car sits a home equity loan at a brutal rate, and a 401k quietly bleeding fees his advisor never mentions. Your own account, same size as his now, costs a fraction of what his does every year in fees alone. That spring, he asks you to co-sign a loan for his daughter's tuition. 6 figures at double-digit interest over a decade. You say no. badly, and it costs you months of coolness between you. You offer a gift instead, no strings, to shrink what he has to borrow. He takes it, says thank you in a flat voice. And it eventually passes. Nobody in the story behaves badly. That's the part that never quite resolves. That same year, your father hands you a letter across the kitchen table. His pension board is offering him a lump sum instead of the monthly check he's collected for years. He's 68, worked 3 decades for the county. You run the math out loud, right there, in about 9 minutes. The lump sum only wins if he doesn't live past his late 70s. And there's a detail buried in the paperwork nobody ever explained to him. If he takes the wrong option and passes first, your mother's monthly check drops to 0. He goes quiet for a second. Nobody explained that part, he says. Somebody did, 20 years ago, in a paragraph he never read closely. He changes the election on the spot. At the door, not quite looking at you, he says, "You're good at this stuff." It's the closest anyone in your family has come in 16 years to actually noticing. Your grandmother turns 91 this August. That's whose birthday tonight's dinner is for. A few months back, in the car after an appointment, she told you she'd changed her will and named you executor. Did you mind? You said no. "It's not much," she said. "The house and whatever's in the account." She didn't pick you because she knows what you're worth. She has no idea. She picked you because you're the one who calls back the same day. This morning, your balance reads just over $460,000. Of that, less than half is money you actually put in. A few $100s a month, on and off for 16 years. The rest was never yours to begin with. It belonged to time. You just never got in its way. Somewhere last year, quietly, with no notification and no email, the growth passed the contributions for good. Tonight, you'll arrive early. You'll put the rolls in the oven and the ice in the cooler on the porch. Derek will show up with 2 bottles of wine that cost more than they should, because there's no check to grab tonight. And you'll let him. He needs the gesture more than you need to be right. Your aunt will tell you that you've always been sensible, meaning it the way you'd compliment someone for keeping a spare tire properly inflated. And next year, the list will go out again. And next to your name, it'll still say rolls and ice, because nobody's ever thought to revise it. Somewhere tonight, there's a 22-year-old at a different table, sitting in the wobbly chair, getting up for the gravy, absolutely certain about who the rich one in the room is. They're wrong. They just won't find out for another 16 years.